Stubbed out. Smoking ban plan confirmed by Starmer with cigarettes to be banished from pub gardens and outside of footy stadiums. So you're going to be banned from smoking outside. Outside. Out fucking side. Wherever, well, it's going to get blown away. It's just going to get blown away. It will also apply outside universities, hospitals, and sports grounds. Sir Keir Starmer has today confirmed he is looking at banning smoking in outdoor spaces like pub gardens. And ever since the universal smoking ban came in for like pubs all over the country, that is what pub gardens were for. That is what they were for. That is the only reason that they get used in the autumn and the winter. Right? In the summer, it's nice to sit outside in the nice sun and have a pint. Like that's nice. But in the autumn and the winter, why is everybody sitting out there in the cold? Because they're smokers. And it's nice to have a fag with your pint. That's just the way it works. Pairs well, like wine and cheese. Fag and pint. That's just the way it's always been. A proud British tradition. The PM was asking about government leaks to The Sun, revealing drastic plans to outlaw cigarettes from a raft of new locations. What's that? Nigel Farage smokes. Who cares? Speaking in Paris, he said, yes, we're going to take decisions in this space to protect people's health. Now, there is a reason for that, and it's not out of care for people, because the government doesn't care about people. They don't even care about the people that are actually from this country. They don't give a shit. We revealed today that lighting up will also be stubbed out at outdoor restaurants, open air spaces at clubs, and outside of football stadiums. It will also apply outside universities, hospitals, sports grounds, kids' play areas, and small parks. The hospital. I mean, I wouldn't smoke in a park. I don't smoke in front of my kids. By the way, like whenever if Sadie comes up to me when I'm outside, I'm immediately like, oh, hiya, darling. I don't smoke in front of my kids. The hospitality sector sounded the alarm that it could cripple already struggling pubs and bars, while Nigel Farage warned it could spell the end of pubs. Because you've heard of loads of people that are social smokers, and if there's one thing that really makes you want to smoke, it's when you've got a drink in you. That makes you really want to smoke. I am working on quitting again. I am working on quitting again, and I was off the fags for a month and a half. But certain stressful events happened. Asked about our exclusive report, Sir Keir said, my starting point on this is to remind everybody that over 80,000 people lose their lives every year because of smoking. That is a preventable death. It's a huge burden on the NHS, and he's talking about the real reason. Of course, it is a burden on the taxpayer. So yes, we are going to take decisions in this space. More details will be revealed, but this is a preventable series of deaths, and we've got to take action to reduce the burden on the NHS and the taxpayer. Kate Nichols, the chair of Hospitality UK, said the proposals were of a huge degree of concern. Now, see, when they say it's a huge tax burden on the taxpayer, do you have any idea how much tax is on cigarettes? They have done tax hikes. I think they've done in the last 20 years, they've done 6, don't quote me on that, 6 tax hikes on cigarettes. I remember, does anybody remember way back in the day where you could get a 10-pack of Mayfair for £2? It had the little 1.99 sticker on it. Does anybody remember those days? Now for like a 20-pack, you're talking 20 quid. 20 quid for a 20-pack of cigarettes. It's mental. It's one of the main reasons, like, I've got money. I could smoke like that if I wanted, but I prefer roll-ups. I prefer roll-ups to regular cigarettes. Even though I've got the money to, like, smoke the same amount in cigarettes, I prefer roll-ups. And I've had it where people see me outside my gigs and stuff like that when I'm rolling, and they're like, oh, do you want a cigarette? And I'm always like, no, because I actually prefer roll-ups. And apparently roll-ups are better for you. They're still horrible for you. Don't smoke roll-ups. But apparently roll-ups are healthier than cigarettes. And when I get told that, I was like, bullshit, there's no way that that's true. And then I looked it up, and apparently it is. Like, marginally. But yeah, apparently roll-ups are better for you than cigarettes. No idea why. She told the LBC this would just affect pub gardens. It's also restaurant areas, it's the cafes, it's the high streets, it's the seating that's outside of those areas. And it is, especially in a cold place like Scotland, it's the only reason that people want to sit outside is so that they can smoke. So, where there's been a heavy investment made in the period post-COVID into creating those outside areas, which have brought so much light and life to our town centres and high streets, this would be a very significant impact on those customers that use those areas, both smokers and non-smokers. And Reform UK chief Nigel Farage said the rumoured ban on smoking in pub gardens or on the pavement outside pubs will kill off the traditional pub forever. For my own part, I simply would not go to the pub ever again if these restrictions are imposed. Because another thing as well, as someone who's a bouncer, external smoking areas are a fucking hotspot. They are a fucking hotspot, and it's annoying as fuck. Like, see, especially ones where, oh, you actually have to go outside the pub and walk about 10 feet down and everything, and like, and basically, see, you need a guy to watch that area, and that's the thing that's really, really annoying, because you don't know who's passing who what through the fence and everything, which is something we've caught people doing loads and loads of times, and you don't know who's having a little bit of an argument, and then a fight spills out, and then there's this whole confusing thing where you're like, even though they are the attendees of this pub, they are technically out with the premises, so it's now not our responsibility. But because a fight happened with an attendee of the pub, there's a little bit of a legal dispute there where can we get held accountable and liable for that and everything. And it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's really, really annoying. It was so much easier when people could just smoke inside because you knew where you stood as a bouncer. It was annoying. It's just really annoying. However, backers of an outdoor smoking ban said it would both help save lives and billions for the NHS. Now, one thing I will argue is smoking inside a pub, yeah, secondhand smoke, etc., that can damage people. Basically, bar staff and bar owners, even if they didn't smoke, a lot of them were getting cancer, right? That's just the way it was. However, doing it outside in the beer garden, yeah, whatever, that's a happy medium, and I would like pubs to be able to choose, because it's their business, their rules, but I would like the outside areas, the beer gardens and stuff like that. That's the happy medium that I'd be tentatively willing to agree to. However, it still should be the business owner's decision. But now this is just way over the top, though. Dr. Layla Mackay of the NHS Confederation told the BBC it's the leading cause of preventable illness in the UK. So we are heartened to see that progress is being made and that the intention is moving forward to really address one of Britain's main drivers of health inequality. Health inequality. Why does equality have to get factored into fucking everything? Do you know that black people smoke more? Who fucking cares? Shut up. Reform UK chief Nigel Farage said the rumoured ban on smoking in pub gardens or that the pavement outside of pubs will kill off the traditional pub forever. We just read that. Furious politicians decried the plans as nanny statism, which it absolutely is, and vowed to oppose the plans. Tory leadership candidate Dame Priti Patel said imposing nanny state regulation like this on pubs and restaurants would not only be wrong, but economically damaging. These are small businesses run by hard-working people that provide jobs up and down the country. Fellow contender Robert Jenrick piled in, the last thing this country needs is thousands more pubs closing, because that's thousands more tax not being paid and thousands more jobs going away. Even though they shouldn't be paying tax at all, but you understand what I mean. Unfortunately, we are a handout nation where the government's pure like, did you just earn some money? Like, fucking, we need it so that we can keep 50% of it and then waffle away the other 80% and then you get 20% worth of service. That's what taxation is. Where you pay the government 20 quid and receive £2 worth of service 9 months from now. Maybe. That's just the way it is now. Secret Whitehall papers seen by The Sun show ministers plotting to drastically extend the indoor smoking ban to beer gardens and outside football stadiums. Lighting up will be stubbed out at outdoor restaurants, open-air spaces at clubs, and pavements next to both. It will also, now this is the thing is, a lot of people don't know is, a lot of nightclubs and pubs and restaurants are all right next to each other on the street. So see if you've got like a line of like 6 is like restaurant, nightclub, pub, restaurant, nightclub or something like that. You need to walk like 6 shops down to go and like have a cigarette, and that means you're all the way down at the other end of the street, and if I'm doing the door, I can't see you, I don't know what's happening. Did you just get jumped and beaten up by a bunch of doctors and lawyers? Right? There's nothing I can do about that because you're not on the premises. You're not on the premises, and also I can't give a statement to the police because I didn't see what happened. You were 6 shops down. but you were an attendee of the establishment that I was at, therefore you were my responsibility, but because of these stupid rules, I now cannot meet my responsibilities, what I'm being paid to do. That's the annoying part. Ministers could also it will also apply outside universities, hospitals, sports grounds, kids' play areas, and small parks. Kids' play areas and small parks. Don't smoke there. That's just common sense. Like, there's children around. Do not smoke around children. Right, that's one thing I do as well. If I'm walking down the street and I'm having a fag and a woman's walking by me and they're holding their kid's hand, I put it behind my back. I don't want kids seeing that, and I don't want kids seeing me do that. I'm fortunate enough where my audience on YouTube are older. Like, the vast majority of my audience are between 18 and 40. The overwhelming vast majority of my audience. However, there are some younger people that watch me, you know, you little cheeky bastards, because whenever you made your YouTube account, you said, yeah, I'm totally over 18 because you're fly. I respect it, but don't do that, right? And I don't want them to see me smoking. I don't want them, like, need to set an example for the next generation. So I don't want them to see me smoking, and I will be quitting again soon. As soon as I've got somewhere to live. And I'm a lot less stressed. But the restrictions will not cover private homes nor large open spaces such as parks or streets. Hitting back at the bill, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage said it will be the end of pubs. This article's just repeating itself, man. A recent impact assessment concluded banning outdoor smoking will lead to closures and job losses, which the government really doesn't care about. They want you poor. However, the PM has resolved to press ahead with the outdoor ban with the backing of England's Chief Medical Officer, Professor Chris Whitty. Ahead of the inevitable backlash, ministers will argue the economic benefits far outweigh the costs. They will claim that smoking cost the Treasury £21.8 billion in health spending, dwarfing the amount it raises in tax. Downing Street will also point out that the then PM Tony Blair's Labour government introduced the public smoking ban in 2007. It actually did not hurt businesses, but it helped save lives. But an outdoor ban will still be viewed as an immensely radical move by Sir Keir just weeks after he won the election. And of course he's going to do it. He's an absolute authoritarian. Genuinely getting a little bit nervous about that. But anyway, critics will point out that such a proposal was not disclosed to voters. Labour's manifesto only pledged to honour the Tory plan to continuously raise the smoking age so the next generation can never legally buy cigarettes. A public consultation will be launched over the outdoor smoking ban, but it is unlikely to change the government's position. Because whatever the government decides it's going to do, it's going to do it. And there's like nothing that you can do about it. You know, but it's all right, it's democracy. In 4 years, vote your guy in and then pray he makes the changes that you want him to make. He won't. But then 4 years after that, you can roll the dice and try again. Yay, democracy. While ministers are set to continue talks to finalise the policy, the current blueprint is to ban ciggies outside of hospitals, schools, college. This is repeating again. The distance someone will be allowed to smoke away from one of these locations is yet to be determined. Especially thorny is the decision to slap pub gardens and restaurant seating areas with the restrictions. A 2020 government press release made explicitly clear that banning outdoor smoking in bars would be a hammer blow. It said, since the existing ban was introduced, businesses have invested heavily in outdoor areas. Banning outdoor smoking would lead to significant closures and job losses. Because basically, a lot of people that go to the pub smoke. A lot of people socially smoke where, oh, I only smoke when I'm drinking, and I drink all the time. Like, those type of people. And what's going to happen is, see the pub that doesn't have another pub or a nightclub or a restaurant or anything like right next to it, and they are able to smoke just a little bit outside, it will be those pubs, you know, as they say, location, location, location. It will be those pubs that come out on top and the other ones will shut down. Or that pub, you need to go fucking a big massive walk if you want to have a fag. Let's just go to this one instead. It adds a new layer of competition, and competition is good, but it's a competitive field that they shouldn't have to compete in. It should be up to the business owners. The Whitehall papers have made clear that private homes will remain unaffected. What an odd thing to say. As will places where human contact is only temporary, such as big parks and roads. Which means that these things were considered, right? Grey areas that still appear to be under discussion include beaches and enclosed parks that bunch lots of people into small spaces. On a beach? Small space. A beach. Beaches are massive. Shut up. One option is to differentiate between big open spaces and smaller, more densely populated ones. The plans also mention vape-free areas, but it is unclear if the outdoor ban will extend to e-cigs. Shisha bars are definitely set to suffer, which could spell curtains for the... Oh yeah, they're gone. They're definitely absolutely gone. Like the original tobacco and vapes bill, the outdoor smoking ban will apply to all 4 countries in the UK. While dozens of Tory MPs will likely vote against, Sir Keir will almost certainly push it through with his massive majority. But the PM is hopeful the public will back the measures, with some polling showing large support for smoke-free pub gardens. Around 6.4 million people in the UK, 13% of the population, are believed to be smokers. Despite making up only 13% of the population, they result in 50% of all cancer cases. In fact, I would argue that it's higher. Non-users will still be harmed by passive smoking. The NHS warns passive smoking is particularly damaging to children who can develop asthma, chest infections, and meningitis, which is why when my children were born, I started smoking outside of the house. And in order to get rid of all the residue, apparently the best way to do that, and it was in my office that I smoked in the house, so the best way to get rid of all of that shit is white vinegar cleaner. So I went right over it stunk. It stunk. If you smell white vinegar, that's what it smelled like. It stunk. My office reeked of that for like 3 weeks because I scrubbed it from head to toe with that fucking white vinegar cleaner. And even for years after it, see on a hot day when it was like summer and the sun was beating through the windows, the smell came back. For years after it. It cleaned the room. It got rid of all the smoke residue from me smoking in there, but at what cost? But yeah, after that I smoke outside, and I still smoke outside. A target exists to make England smoke-free by 2030, meaning only 5% of the population would smoke by then. A Department for Health and Social Care spokesperson said, "We do not comment on leaks." Smoking claims at 80,000 lives a year, puts huge pressure on our NHS, and costs taxpayers billions. We are determined to protect children and non-smokers from second-hand smoking. We are considering a range of measures to finally make Britain smoke-free. And there we are, that's the end of the article. Now, whether or not a person wants to smoke is completely up to them, right? You know, I'm a libertarian. So basically, if you want to put toxins in your body, that's completely up to you. As long as you don't harm anybody else by doing it, then whatever. You can put whatever the hell you want in your body. You should be free to make your own mistakes. You can become a junkie if you want and die in the gutter. Actually, when I was walking down, I forget the name of the street that the cat is on, just yesterday, I saw a pile of junkies just beating the fuck out of each other right in the middle of the road. What building was it right outside of? Well, if you're from Glasgow, you'll know exactly the one I'm talking about. But basically, if people want to be able to smoke, they absolutely have that right. If companies want to sell cigarettes, they absolutely have that right. People should be free to make their own silly decisions. However, on the back of that, I will also say you absolutely should not smoke. Because like starting smoking was one of the stupidest things that I've ever done. And I've had 2 grandparents get taken off me for smoking, lung cancer, both of them. Well, technically one was the MRSA superbug. She went in for an operation to remove a tumour from her lung. She caught the MRSA superbug when she was in there, and hey ho, bye bye gran. But so I shouldn't smoke. Like, absolutely not. However, I do because I'm stupid. But lots of you can not be stupid and not smoke. Especially the younger ones. A lot of people start smoking in school because, look how cool I am to my friends. You know that when you leave school, you're never going to see any of them again. I don't see anyone from school, the ones that I was smoking in front of, because I looked cool and all that, right? I've never saw any of them again. So that little bit of coolness that I earned in high school, that was fleeting. However, I'm still smoking and fucking up my body and giving myself COPD and fucking lung cancer and higher blood pressure and all the other horrible things that come with smoking. So absolutely, you should not smoke. Do not smoke. Get rid of it as soon as possible. The people are different, but the Jew was the only thing that got me off the fags. That was the only thing that worked for me. And I will come off them again, I promise. I've got kids now. I can't be fucking about with smoking. However, I'm too stressed at the moment. I'm too stressed at the moment to come off them. So people absolutely should have the freedom to smoke if they want to, but don't smoke.